All right, we're live now. So anyone who's watching on Facebook and YouTube, if you'd like to join, click on our WhatsApp group in the description, and then you're gonna zoom into our WhatsApp group, and the link is posted there. So everyone,
And
we are invited.
we're having a lively and exciting conversations on the absolute truth.
Try. Okay. So you asked the question: what are people? What was your question? What are people thinking? What they will be doing in the spiritual world?
Exactly. What do they think they'll be doing in the spiritual world? I want to go back to Godhead. What about the guy next to you? I don't know if about him. I want to go back to Godhead. I want to push myself to go back to Godhead. That's what I really, really want. It's about me, the jiva, wanting to purify myself as the jiva and going back to home, back to Godhead. Well, you can be a Mayavadi and be purified.
Right.
That's what Brahman means.
Brahman.
The Istagosthi platform is Brahman. Brahman means the impersonal feature of God. So that's where our natural status is, to be part and parcel of God. Of course, we say Achinta Veda Veda Tattva, simultaneously one and different, meaning we are minutely different than God, but by nature we're the same, Brahman. Kanishta is Brahman platform, Paramatma, and Madhyam is Paramatma platform, and Uttama is Bhagavan platform. We all know that phrase, Brahman and Vishnu and Bhagavan, right?
Yes. What is it? Impersonal Brahman. The sun, the sunshine, the sun planet, and the sun god.
Yes, like that. And Prabhupada gave the example of a train coming down the tracks. First, you see the headlight. Say, oh, that's God, you know.
Right.
A big light. That's God. Then the train pulls into the station, and you can look through the windows. You see there are people in there, and they're talking to each other. Oh.
Right.
Paramatma. Sure. And then, if your doors open, you can walk onto the train. Oh, Bhagavan. That is, I can associate with the people on the train.
Right.
So these are all examples. Prabhupada would describe, there's essentially crude examples. So the real question is, if a person is completely convinced that if they chant 64 rounds, they will go back to Godhead.
Okay.
Without going to Madhyamadikari, the ordeal of Madhyamadikari, of giving up your precious material consciousness for the unyet defined spiritual consciousness, unyet understood spiritual consciousness, so you just understand it one iota at a time. Why is it so hard to understand spiritual consciousness? Is a very simple answer. What is it? What's the simple answer? Spiritual consciousness on the Uttamadikari platform or on the Madhyamadikari platform transforming to the Uttamadikari platform is the great unknown. It is going from material consciousness, material bodily consciousness, letting go of your bodily consciousness, engaging the jiva in kinetic activity, not the body, but jiva in kinetic activity in relationship to the unknown. And what is the unknown and the unknowable? Krishna. Krishna is the unknown and the unknowable. But what I thought, if I go to Krishna Loka, I will know Krishna. Reciprocally, you cannot know Krishna like you can know your dog, or you can know your wife, you know, like that. Or like you can know your favorite book. No. Krishna is the supreme person of which we're part and parcel. Therefore, he's the unknown until we have a relationship with him. In which case, he's still the unknown, but the part that we have a relationship with is our rasa, which is the known. So if you're Mother Yasoda, you're not thinking about Krishna dancing with gopis, right? Why? She'd be horrified.
Yeah, that's a different relationship, a different spiritual living.
So Yoga Maya keeps Mother Yasoda in her little pocket of rasa with Krishna, which is completely reciprocal, but he's unlimited, so he can have a completely reciprocal relationship with every one of his parts and parcels. Certainly, he is in that sort of relationship in Krishna Loka, right? In Krishna Loka, everyone has their rasa with him, and he reciprocates in his rasa with them. It's not like Christianity where God is sitting there and you sit on a cloud with a halo and wings, glued on wings, and a basket of Kentucky Fried Chicken and something to keep you happy. It's not like that in Krishna Loka. Heaven. There's no abstract God way of there, and you're not there alone. You are only in your kinetic relationship with Krishna. So now back to the original question, which I happened to ask. If you want to perfect everything for yourself, you don't care about developing your rasa with Krishna per se, what sort of relationship will you have if you do go to Krishna Loka without going through the Madhyamadikari platform of developing a relationship or rasa with Krishna? With Krishna, you can have a relationship with the marble deity in the temple that gets way beyond marble. It's just an amazing. I've experienced it. You know, I used to dress Radharani at night in her nightclothes in Los Angeles, and at one point it got too much for me. Her nature was too much for me to handle. I had to tell Jayatirtha, do you please dress Radharani? I will dress Krishna. Because her Shakti was too intense. I would have fainted. I would have fallen on the ground, you know? So that's a deity. I'm not talking about a deity. I'm talking about your relationship, kinetic relationship with Krishna in a non-marble form in Krishna Loka. So you develop it in the Madhyamadikari platform, bit by bit. You gradually, your vestigial, the jiva, develops his vestigial swarup, or form, as a jiva. And bit by bit by bit by bit, pade, you get up to being able to not only offer to Krishna an experience that he likes. I always use the word fanning because it's easy to comprehend. That you're fanning Krishna, at first he finds it disgusting because he's just like you're fanning a marble deity in the temple, which you may be the best person in the world at fanning the marble deity in the temple, but he doesn't like it because he's not made of marble. Marble deity has Krishna there, and so you're actually fanning Krishna in the marble deity. He's personally present. But when you're in the Madhyamadikari platform, no more marble deity. It's Krishna. Either he likes or does not like the way you're fanning him. If he likes, he doesn't like. I'll guarantee that. When you start fanning Krishna in the Madhyamadikari platform, he does not like it. Why would he? What do you know of Krishna's pleasure of being fanned? Unless you were a resident of Krishna Loka, in which case everybody knows how Krishna likes to be fanned. But you're not there. You're in a material body trying to transform. So you gradually get, under the guidance of Vishnu, Paramatma, you gradually get a taste for what Krishna, Paramatma, just like he guides us towards everything, how to find this nice chick, how to find these drugs, how to find a knife to kill somebody with. He guides us every inch of the way. So he starts doing the real thing, which is guiding you to what Krishna will give Krishna pleasure. So finally, fanning becomes refined to fanning a person who does not have a material form, even a transcendentalized material form. So then gradually, when he gets a touch of pleasure, then that expands until you have and that's your spiritual form awakening and producing that. You don't awaken as a spiritual form all at once. You awaken fanning motion by fanning motion until you become the person, not just the fan in the hand, but the person who fans. Then you begin as your swarup. If that's your swarup, I mean, you could be any of a gazillion swarups for a gazillion pastimes, but that's the point. So anyhow, what happened now? Back to the guy that wants to chant 64 rounds. And while chanting 64 rounds, he wants personal perfection. So what sort of rasa will he have? What is the rasa he will have in Krishna Loka when he arrives there, having avoided forming a rasa or relationship with Krishna, but just fanning because he wants liberation? What sort of form will he take? Any ideas?
There were some questions online, and I wanted to divert.
Let's just finish this up in a couple of minutes, and then get to the questions. There's 4 types of rasas, right? Do you know them?
Shanta rasa, dasya rasa, sakya rasa, and parakya rasa. Yes.
Madhurya. Yeah.
Madhurya rasa.
Okay. So Shanta rasa, who is in Shanta rasa? In
grass.
Spiritual.
Grass.
How about a grain of sand?
Yeah.
So if you don't develop a kinetic relationship with Krishna by fanning him or cooking for him or whatever your rasa is that you're doing for him, and you just want to be liberated and be there, Shanta rasa. You can be there without a relationship with Krishna, except the odd chance that out of the unlimited space in Krishna Loka, that he may walk by, in which case you'll sense his presence, or he'll step on you, which will send you into shudders of transcendental ecstasy. But you will not be playing with cows. You will not be giving him milk. You will not be dancing with him and the gopis, right? You won't be a cowherd boy. So anyhow, that's what I would say to the people that just want to be Krishna conscious for themselves. Get ready for Shanta rasa. So now you said there were people with questions. I can't hear you.
Oh, yes, there's some questions. So let me load it up on the screen.
Sure.
Then we'll go to the point that I wanted to say about. So this is our channel. 5 people are watching right now. You can see here on the bottom here, 4 people now. So the question was here, Manoj Kumar, please clarify the difference between Yoga Maya, Mahamaya, and Parashakti, Sarup Shakti. So that's the first question here. Please clarify the difference between Yoga Maya, Mahamaya, and Parashakti.
Well, the Yoga Maya we know, Mahamaya we unfortunately know, but what is the Parashakti?
Parashakti is, I think, Krishna's. Let me punch it in the database and see what it comes up. Parashakti, I think it's Krishna's. Parapi, P-A-R-A.
Does that mean mystical activity?
Krishna's Unlimited powers, Haribol.
Unlimited powers, Parashakti.
Various unlimited powers. Para means out of this world, which no one can understand. The unlimited
Achha.
powers, which I can understand. Right. Yeah.
Okay, so we have Parashakti. And the first two is Mahamaya,
Yogamaya.
Yogamaya. Well, Yogamaya is your relationship with Krishna. That's what we've been discussing just now, that when you come to the Madhyamadikari platform, you come to the platform of Yogamaya. Mahamaya is, we are all too familiar with, obviously. Did he say Mahamaya?
Yes, Mahamaya.
Yogamaya and Parashakti?
Yes.
Okay, well, Mahamaya simply means marginal, the contamination of the marginal soul. In my conversation with Rupa Manjari this afternoon, I came up with the idea of a definition of Paramatma guiding people into different bodies during different lifetimes, right? That he's a tour guide. He's the tour guide. He said, I want a male body. Okay, here you go. Here's your male body. Oh, I want a female body. There you go. There's the male body. My job is to give you what you want. That's the tour guide. Isn't that amusing?
Right.
Because we think, oh, that's God. He's directing. He's frowning at us when we do the wrong thing. He doesn't. He empowers us to do the wrong thing if that's what we want. Why? Because we're part and parcel of Krishna. So why would part and parcel of Krishna want to do the wrong thing? Because we're marginal energy. And we've separated ourselves from Krishna and Krishna Loka. Therefore, we have a desire to do unfortunate things.
Yes.
Why does Paramatma enable us to do something that will not bring us closer to Krishna, but will actually take us further away from Krishna? And the answer is because that's what we're asking him to do. There's karma, which means you do pious deeds to go to a higher planet. Vaikarma, which means you do bad deeds, which will eventually take you down to a hellish planet. Then there's akarma, which is the platform of the transcendentalist. So the Mahamaya is not Krishna's concern. Mahamaya is a servant of Krishna, Maya Devi, Durga, whatever. She guides you where you want to go according to your desire. Why? Because Krishna, you're part and parcel of Krishna. So why would Krishna let you go off and murder somebody? Because that's what you wanted. I said, wait a minute, but isn't God all good? Yes. But the most important thing is God is completely manifested in his desires. And he will not, none of Krishna's desires can be thwarted or denied. So when you are in Maya, meaning the infinitesimal part and parcel wants to take material experiences, Paramatma comes into the equation to guide them there. Why? Because you, as part and parcel of Krishna, want something, which means Krishna in a minute form wants something. So to get that something, Paramatma comes to facilitate your desire. Okay? So if you want drugs, sex, rock and roll, Paramatma will say, here, come this way. Studio 54, Broadway, you know. In other words, he will give you whatever you want, no matter what it is. And when you want to develop Krishna consciousness, that turns into akarma, or spiritual life. Now the next is Yogamaya.
Yes. So Parashakti, Prabhupada is explaining to Alan Greensburg. I'll read it so people can see what you said exactly is what Prabhupada is saying. Narayan Prabhu. So I just want to read
Go for it.
Prabhupada is saying.
Better Prabhupada than the flawed vessel like myself.
Here, Ellen Greensberg is having a conversation with Srila Prabhupada in May 1969 in Columbus, Ohio.
And I was watching that conversation through a hole in the wall of the closet.
Oh, wow.
I was in the closet in the next room. We drilled a hole through, and we were peeking through at Prabhupada and Ginsburg. So go ahead.
So Prabhupada says, so this is the word Parashakti, because Jiva, although Parashakti, he has got independence. So when he wants to imitate Krishna, in the spiritual world, Krishna is the enjoyer, and all others are enjoyed, predominator and predominating. The Lord is predominating, so there is no disagreement. There they know the Lord is predominate, we have to serve. When the service attitude is impaired, that why serve Krishna? Why not ourselves? That is Maya. Then he falls down in the material energy. There is no scope. Just like in the government system, there is no scope of freedom. You have to act according to the government state laws. So long you are agreement, then you are free. If you disagree, then you are placed within the prison house. Similarly, Jiva, independent, not fully independent, but they have God. Because part and parcel of God, because part and because part and part of God, therefore that independence quality is there. So when there is independence quality, so when the independence quality is misused, then he's placed in the material world. Krishna bhuliya jiva bhoga vanchakare. When we forget Krishna and try to lord it over something, and Krishna is the supreme Lord, when we try to imitate him, his lordship, then our place is in the material world. So there we go. Prabhupada is saying the jiva, the spiritual souls are parashakti, meaning he's part and parcel of Krishna.
So the exact definition of Parashakti is?
It's saying here, Prabhupada is saying parashakti in this context is using as what is it? Spiritual part and parcel of Krishna.
A liberated spiritual part and parcel?
No, not here. He's just describing Parashakti in a context where it's part and parcel of Krishna. It's not talking about liberated or conditioned. He's just saying that it's part and parcel of Krishna.
Okay.
Let me.
Does that answer the question to our dear Prabhu who asked it?
Yes. So yes, please post if that was helpful. Okay. Here is some
So
more.
I've checked, Haribol, I've
Did
checked
he,
it on
did he accept
Wikipedia.
it? Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Mohit Prabhu.
Prabhu, I've checked it on Wikipedia. That's some energy of Lord Shiva and some goddesses there. Is that question related to that or the Parashakti which Prabhupada has explained?
So Parashakti, I looked it up in the Srimad
Yeah,
Bhagavatam. It's saying that
yeah.
in the Vishnu Purana, also the internal potency of Vishnu is called Parashakti. The Lord is never detached from the association of Parashakti. This Parashakti and her manifestations are described in the Brahma Samhita, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. The Lord is eternally joyful and cognizant in the taste derived from such transcendental bliss. Negation of variegatedness of the inferior energy does not necessitate negation of the positive transcendental bliss of the spiritual world. Therefore, the Lord's gentleness, his smile, his character, and everything related to him are all transcendental. Such manifestations of the internal potency are the reality of which the material shadow is only a temporary representation from which everyone with proper knowledge must be detached.
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
So here, Parashakti, internal potency. This, right here.
Internal potency.
Yes.
So his question was like difference between the
Thank
three,
you,
right?
Ramachandra. That was a brilliant commentary.
Yes. Okay, let's see how Prabhupada uses it. Lord Vishnu is always mentioned in the Purusha as the Purusha in the Vedic scriptures. Sometimes the living entities are also mentioned as Purushas, although they are essentially Purusha Shakti, Parashakti or Paraprakriti, the superior energy of the Purusha. So here, let's see what else. Parashakti. Okay, here, the living entity is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 5, as Para Prakriti. And in the Vishnu Purana, he is mentioned as Parashakti. He is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord as potency. Now, what does he say? As potency and not as the potent. The potent can exhibit many potencies, but the potency cannot equal the potent at any stage. So Parashakti here is also used.
He's empowered by and is acting as Krishna without being Krishna. In other words, his potency is Krishna's potency working through him.
Yes. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 19, verse 13. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has accepted Parashakti, the spiritual energy of the Lord, as being identical with the Lord. Thus, she is also included in the independent Vishnu Tattva. So, let's see what else. Krishna. So, let's see what Prabhupada says in the lectures. Okay, so I think that answers the question. Prabhupada uses it, Parashakti, it uses the living entities are described as the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, part and partial. But they don't have all that power, just like Krishna is the Parashakti. Okay. The next question here on YouTube. Let's see. Okay, here he's saying, one second. Let me share the screen. He's saying, thank you, sir, for clarifying. Okay, so next question here is abortion acceptable in ISKCON?
It's what?
Abortion.
Abortion.
Yes.
Acceptable in ISKCON?
Yes.
Well, we have to ask, is abortion murder?
So,
I mean, at what point is killing another human being murder? I'm asking.
it's a murder at any time where when the soul takes the body on, meaning in the womb of the mother.
Yeah.
That's
The
basically.
semen contains the jiva. The
Yeah.
minute the semen hits the egg and the egg responds by accepting the semen as a compatible component of what will become a baby, even birth control is murder.
So, yes.
Because you're preventing conception. That's why Prabhupada said to have sex only once a month. Tough thing for his disciples to do, but to have sex only once a month, and then for the purpose, after chanting 50 rounds, for the purpose of conception. Because
Yes.
a direct line of conception produces a certain type of jiva,
Yes.
attracts a certain type of jiva. And the whole point And the Vedas are full of examples of misbegotten children who were not the right jivas. Like if you have a, if the king and queen have sex, but something happens in that relationship to allow an unfavorable, without samskaras, without purification, without creating a dynamic social acceptable atmosphere for a royal jiva to come in through the semen of the king, it could be some other jiva coming in, and the son would no longer be the real son. That would be what Prabhupada calls Varna Sankara. You're born in the right Varna, but you are not of the right potency to be in that Varna. And that was the purpose of the Mahabharata. And scripture like that, Stri Sudra Dvijabandhu. So if you're not qualified to be a king or a Brahmin or a high-end Vaishya, you're called Dvijabandhu, or relative of the twice born. Whoever takes the sacred thread, he's twice born. First Diksha, then the Gayatri. Whoever takes the Gayatri has a role to perform in relationship to Gayatri, which happens to come from Lord Brahma. Gayatri mantra comes from Brahma.
Okay.
And so you get, so that means that the murder actually begins before, at the time of conception. If the woman is wearing a diaphragm or the man is wearing a condom, that would be the equivalent of murder. Because the jiva is quite ready to take birth, to connect with the female for the purpose of obtaining a body and then being born and then acting accordingly. And if that child is a positive child, like if king and queen want a son who will become king, then you don't want to stop that relation. You don't want to stop that with abortion. You want to do anything except stop it with abortion to protect the jiva to protect the jiva body combination in the womb in the form of an embryo and then a fetus. So to answer the question in a simple manner, no abortion cannot be countenanced by anyone, particularly in ISKCON.
Okay, so that.
Could I say one more thing? Because in ISKCON, we want to create higher beings than ourselves.
Okay.
We want someone to be born into ISKCON who will become a greater Vaishnav than we who came off the street.
Okay.
You see? Unfortunately, that's not the way it turned out yet. But with the League for 10K, that's how it will end up being. Okay.
Okay.
So indirectly, yeah.
Yes, Mohit Prabhu, go ahead.
Prabhu want to say something indirectly that using a condom or going for an abortion is indirectly sense gratification, right? Because that jiva is in there and it will get born, right? So we are doing it, sense gratification, and that's wasting our energy and not giving a Krishna conscious baby, right? That's what Prabhu wants to say, no? That's indirectly sense gratification only. Getting for an abortion or wearing a condom, yeah.
So if it's just sense gratification, then the baby born out of that, if there is, the best abortion is not to have sex.
Right.
If you don't want to have the baby, don't have sex. End of story. Because even if you have sex by what the Catholics call rhythm method, there's only 4 or 5, maybe 6 days maximum out of the month that a woman can become pregnant. That leaves 3 weeks of the month where you can have as much sex as you like, and she will not get pregnant. But the reason why unwanted children take place is because the man senses the woman's readiness to conceive, the woman senses her own readiness to conceive, so they have sex when she's fertile. Just like dogs do it by being in heat, humans do it when they have the impulse to have sex, and that is increased when the woman is fertile.
Okay. So, Manoj Prabhu said, nice explanation. Thank you for clarifying, Prabhuji. So he was talking about the Parashakti, the Yoga Maya, and Mahamaya. So his question got answered. And then there was another question. Huh? There was another question here by one devotee. He said, I have read two of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's books, Civilization and Transcendence, and On the Way to Krishna. I was immediately enlightened. Everything was logic and reason based. I want to learn more. This mundane material life seems useless beyond sense gratification, like a dog chasing its tail. Then he says, anger, depression, greed seem ubiquitous
Ubiquitous.
nowadays. It is extremely disheartening to value a person's life solely based on materialism. Is it accurate to define ISKCON as a polytheistic belief system? Thank you, sirs. So he asked a question: is it accurate to define ISKCON as a polytheistic belief system?
Oh, that's fascinating, isn't it? He starts out in a completely perfect mode. Like you could say, boy, he read two of Prabhupada's small books and he's completely electrified by the outcome. Then at the end, it proves that those two small books evidently were not enough to give him a broad view. But why not give him a discourse on where to get Prabhupada's other books from the website so he can see all, get a variety.
Well,
Like
he can get the books from us. So our link is posted in the WhatsApp group, and or he can message me, and we have the original books where he can read, and he can also hear the books and have a conversation with us if he has any questions. So
that's wonderful. So what book would you recommend? Should he get the Bhagavad Gita?
yes, I think he should read the Bhagavad Gita because it talks about the worship of the polytheistic belief systems. What Krishna explains that it is not recommended, this system of worshiping the different devis and devatas. It is
So
not.
why not the Iṣṭa-goṣṭhī and the Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah, that also, Ishopanishad and Bhagavad Gita. That is also very nice.
Iṣṭa-goṣṭhī's purpose is to give you a strong you plant your feet strongly on the spiritual path by recognizing that there is a spiritual path. And it ends up by saying, if you walk on the spiritual path, will you find God? And at the end, the 18th verse, you exclaim, please, let me see you. And then the next step to go is the Bhagavad Gita, as it is, which you can get from Ramachandra.
Yes, so his question, is it accurate to define ISKCON as a polytheistic belief system? Rupa Manjari Prabhu, can you answer that question?
Say it one more time. Oh, is ISKCON a polytheistic system?
Belief system, yes. Is it accurate to define ISKCON as a polytheistic belief system?
It's both monotheistic and polytheistic. Because yes, there are demigods and demigoddesses, but Krishna is supreme and in control of all of them as well as all of us. So it's both.
Well, I would say, yes, it's both, but I would emphasize that Krishna's Adi Purusham, the original personality, that all these other worshipable demigods who are in themselves in higher, just like us, they have material bodies, but their material bodies are etheric and on a much higher level. The pleasures are very high, and the pleasures are many and the pains are few. But nonetheless, they're not really gods. Theo means God in Greek. They're not really gods. They are higher beings within Krishna, who is the source. Krishna is not equal to anyone, and he's not inferior to anyone. He is the original source of everyone, including the other gods, the polytheistic demigods. We can say they are there, and it's true, and you've given an accurate answer. However, we cannot confuse that they are spiritual, because only Krishna is spiritual. They all have bodies that will eventually die. May take a very long time, but they will die. So even though they're worshipable deities in the material world, they too will perish and will lose their bodies and take other bodies at some other time.
So that question is still not clear. That answer is not still clear. So is it accurate to define ISKCON as a polytheistic belief system? International Society for Krishna Consciousness focuses on worship of Krishna or Vishnu, right? So in that way, it is not polytheistic belief system. Is that correct to say?
Correct.
The polytheistic belief system can also mean that there are millions of demigods and devis and devatas, which the Krishna conscious person does not worship them. They give respects to these wonderful personalities who are part and parcel of God's creation, and are administrators of the different parts of Krishna's creation. But it is not ISKCON is not a polytheistic belief system. They worship Krishna.
Were you reading that, or that was your own words?
Those were my words.
Incredibly good.
So in this way,
Thank you.
there's no confusion, you know.
Yeah. So the thing about theistic, it's like saying, is Jesus God or is he the Son of God? If you say he's God, that would be polytheistic. If you say he's the Son of God, well, there's God. Jesus refers to God, but he is not God. He's the Son of God. Just like you and I are the sons of God.
Jai. Okay. Then he says, I believe abortion is murder and is completely evil. Then Krishna Kundara says, yes, thank you very much for clarifying. Then he asks a question. Is it acceptable to fast for Krishna and also benefit from it by experiencing better mental, physical, and spiritual health?
Well, Janmashtami is a fast day. Krishna's birthday is a fast day.
Yeah.
There are many, many fast days with Krishna as in the center of that fast. So yes, it's beneficial to fast because fasting is an austerity by which instead of magnifying our material body's satisfaction, we restrain our material body so that we can get a glimpse of spiritual insight during that fasting time.
So yes, so fasting is recommended in the Vaishnava or International Society for Krishna Conscious Movement. Prabhupada wanted devotees to fast on the appearance days of Lord Krishna, Vishnu Tattva, and appearance days of the Acharyas, right?
Yes.
And disappearance days. So there's a lot of fasting, and it's definitely very, very good to fast.
So
Okay.
his question is, I guess indirectly his question is, he's saying that if we take demigods, Ekadashi, or we fast for them, what are the powers? Can we do both together? We need to explain him the difference between demigods and the Supreme Personality Godhead. Because if you're doing it for Supreme Personality, you're getting everything, right? Because he's a Supreme. Yeah. So his question is, whether can I do both together? Yeah.
Well, what do you want to get out of fasting for the demigods?
Yeah, exactly.
What benefit do you foresee? Do you see
he's seeing a material benefit out of the demigods, right? So he's seeing for a material benefit there.
The demigods can only give you material benefit.
Yeah.
And that
look at what happened with Hiranyakashipu. Lord Shukadev killed Hiranyakashipu to protect Prahlad.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If you wanted to worship Indra to protect you from from Hiranyakashipu, it wouldn't work, would it? Because Hiranyakashipu kicked Indra out of his own kingdom and sat on his throne on his planet.
Yes.
Hiranyakashipu was a demon, big demon, and he
Yes.
sat on the throne of the king of heaven. So what's the use of worshiping Indra? He can't protect himself even from a demon.
Yes. So,
But you can worship Lord Nrsimhadev
yes.
because he killed Hiranyakashipu and gave the throne back to Indra.
Yes, Vaishnavas mean the worshippers of Lord Krishna or Vishnu, the Vishnu Tattva expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That,
Yeah.
okay. His next question was, he says, thank you very much for clarifying. Then he says, thank you for helping me understand the incredible blessings of Krishna. Okay, then another question. If Diksha and Shiksha gurus are on the same level, why current Guru Parampara is considered wrong?
Say that again.
If Diksha and Shiksha gurus are on the same level, why current Parampara is considered wrong?
Why what in the parampara?
Why the current Parampara is considered wrong?
Oh, well, we all know the answer to that one. By the way, convention, there are no Shiksha gurus in ISKCON or anywhere else. Shiksha guru has to be from Krishna Loka. He has to be a person who is in his rasa with Krishna, who can then instruct you instead of your Diksha guru. If you have a Diksha guru or Shiksha guru, it's the same. It's just that the Diksha guru is takes direct responsibility for you, going back to Godhead all the way. The Shiksha guru is there to explain things that the Diksha guru is not in a position to explain. Let's just say that the Diksha guru goes to a different planet. Well, then the Shiksha guru, you can ask him and he will give you equal quality answers as the Diksha guru. As far as ISKCON is concerned, there are no Diksha gurus and no Shiksha gurus. Everyone is neophytes. Kanistha Adhikari means there's three stages. Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan is the three stages of spiritual realization. Kanistha Adhikari is Brahman, neophyte, the beginning stage. So on the beginning stage, where are you going to find a Shiksha guru or a Diksha guru? How will you find such a person? I mean, are you going to say that because Prabhupada manifested from Krishna Loka and came here from Krishna Loka to teach us and guide us for the next 9,400 years, that there's going to be Diksha gurus everywhere? And that he is just one of many? Or is he, I mean, the Christians will only accept that Jesus was the Son of God, that he came from the kingdom of God. We could equally accept that Prabhupada is unique in coming from the Krishna Loka. You could say, but what about his guru? Yeah, he also came from Krishna Loka. These are Sampradaya Acharyas. Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, Jagannath Das Babaji. They all came from Krishna Loka.
Right.
And that's the way the Sampradaya is. But after us, where is the question of Sampradaya? Who is going to be the next in the line of disciplic succession when there is nobody but people that are not qualified? First, you have to have an Uttamadhikari before you can have a disciplic succession continuing from that person. But we don't have an Uttamadhikari anywhere. Prabhupada is the last Uttamadhikari, but he very generously and very kindly made everything available to even a common man with average reading skills.
Yes.
By producing all of his books. And if you obtain his books and read them, you will get all the benefit of the better benefit than anyone pretending to be a Uttama Adhikari or Guru. and as good benefit as a real Uttama Adhikari, because the books are Uttama Adhikari. And if you read them, you get all the benefit of the Uttama Adhikari, Srila Prabhupada, backed up by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Gaurkishore Swamiji, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and the others like Srila Vishwanath Swamiji and Vishwanath Chakravarti, going back to Lord Chaitanya. But it's a very short branch of the tree, because Krishna came as Radharani, in the mood of Radharani, 500 years ago, 550 years ago. He came as Radharani 550 years ago. That's nothing. The Sampradaya goes up for millions of years. He came back, and where does the Sampradaya originate from? Lord Chaitanya? Very simple. The same where the Sampradaya originates in Krishna Loka, from Lord Balaram. What do you mean? What do you mean, Lord Balaram? This Lord Balaram here with Lord Chaitanya 500 and something years ago? Yes, Lord Nityananda is Balaram. Therefore, Prabhupada one time wrote a letter to Brahmananda in 1968, December 68. We should all imagine that we are being dragged up through the Sampradaya by Lord Nityananda. Why did he say Lord Nityananda when it's Balaram who lifts us up? But we are in the golden age of Kali. This is the end of the Vedic culture. Meaning that when Kali Yuga ends, it will be the end of that cycle of the four great yugas. Kali Yuga is the winter. Satya Yuga, Satya Yuga.
We have another question.
Yeah. Dwarfa Yuga. Yeah, what's the other? So anyhow, does that answer that question?
Well, he needs clarification here. He's saying,
Is it the same person?
yes, Bangladesh SPK. He's asking another question.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhu.
What's the important reason for not accepting learned, humble devotees of the current ISKCON Vaishnavas as Shiksha Gurus? We have covered this point that the Shiksha Guru and the Diksha Guru must be both liberated souls, Uttam Adhikaris from the spiritual world coming down.
Yeah.
Because they're
and
not.
The question is, why do you even need one? Why do you want a quote unquote, I don't say Shiksha Guru because that's specific, a quote unquote person that you call a Shiksha Guru? Why do you want a Kanistha Adhikari to be your guru of any sort? Now, let me only say, when I joined the ISKCON temple in the fall of 1968, we had what you would like to call a Shiksha Gurus all over the place in the temple of 50 members, maybe 30 members. And what were they? Temple commander, Sankirtan leader, the temple president, temple treasurer.
Right.
Our temples did not have Shiksha Gurus. Our temples had temple president, vice president, the treasurer, and then the Sankirtan leader. And those were the leading men in the temple. They did exactly what the ISKCON Gurus, the better ones, like Vaisheshika and people like that are doing that service, they were doing and did not have to become gurus to do what they were doing. All they had to do was be exemplary disciples of Prabhupada. That's all you need to be. You don't have to have a title, and definitely not a title of guru, because if you have a title of guru, you take on the karma of whoever you initiate. And when you die, if you're not a pure devotee, which none of them are, you will take your sins with you and the sins of everyone you initiated. And so what happens when they die? and you're still worshiping them as your Guru Maharaj, then when you die, you go to their loka, not to Prabhupada.
Okay. So then another question he asks, is it true that Srila Prabhupada encouraged his disciples to be brahmacharya, life of a grihastha?
Well, no. He didn't encourage anyone to be a sannyas either.
Hmm.
He
wanted
didn't
it.
encourage. He didn't encourage anyone to be a Brahmin. You take diksha from Prabhupada, a fire sacrifice. Then, after a period of time when you're ready to start to do sacred work like pujari, cook, making flower arrangements for the garlands for the deities, then you take second initiation, Brahmin initiation. And then after that, if you want to become a preacher with no encumbrance, you can become sannyasi. The householder is a fine institution. And obviously, Prabhupada expected that ISKCON would have more householders than any other factor, any other group. Why? Because that's the way we get second, third, fourth generation devotees born right here in the movement, in the ISKCON movement. And Prabhupada envisioned that if the disciples were we had this discussion of abortion and whatnot. If the disciples were married, chant 50 rounds before they have sex on auspicious days to attract the right jiva, and then raise their child without television, but with breast milk, etc., in a wonderful Krishna conscious home with kirtan playing, with Prabhupada there, that these children will become more advanced than their parents. That's the whole idea. So after, we're talking about the golden age of Kali. We're just barely into it. It was 550 years into 10,000 years. How about in 2,000 years? Can you imagine what would happen if there were Krishna conscious children, having Krishna conscious children into the future, all of them worshiping Prabhupada, not a Kanista Adhikari who cannot deliver them, can't even deliver themselves from birth, and that's what to speak of deliver others. So you see, so if you have that Kanista Adhikaris everywhere, then they be more and more advanced as generations go on. So much so that if the children become advanced and take their Brahma initiation or take sannyas or become very advanced, then they will deliver you, your parents. They will come to you and say, Mother, Father, why are you sitting there looking depressed? Come and let's chant in the streets. Let's enlighten every jiva. Let's get the snails to chant. Let's get the trees to chant silently. Let's get the birds to chant. Let's get the dogs to chant. Come on, Mother, Father, or grandmother, grandfather, great-great-grandmother, great-great-grandfather. Come on, let's go and chant Hare Krishna mantra. So that's why children are welcomed into Krishna consciousness, but basically they need to be from a purified connection.
Right.
And it may not be so perfect if your karmi wife become devotees and have a child. That child may or may not be perfectional, but one thing is for sure, that child will be a step beyond their parent. And then their children will be steps and steps beyond them, and their children will be steps and steps and steps beyond them. So you'll create a whole avenue, a whole golden staircase to heaven, or to Krishna Loka, I should say, of all your descendants, dragging you back to home, back to Godhead. Not a bad deal. Eh?
Right. Okay. So, Bangla Ganesh SPK, I think your question was answered. Prabhupada wanted everyone to be devotees of Krishna, and he encouraged devotees to make more devotees and bring wonderful children in this world who are going to be pure devotees and who's going to preach the mission of Krishna consciousness for the next 10,000 years.
Jai.
Okay.
And Ramachandra has two children that are so Krishna conscious they will not tell you anything except Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Very pleasurable. I have great pleasure and ecstatic happiness when I see them on the Zoom call sometimes.
Yes. Jai. So anyone else have any questions on our Facebook and YouTube? They're welcome to post or send us a message. Okay, so that's it for the questions on YouTube. Mahaprabhu is in the house. Mahaprabhu, Hare Krishna. Nice to see you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Jai.
Hi.
So what do you think, Mahaprabhu?
I think it's a wonderful discussion.
Very good. Any specific points that you want to comment on or you want to raise?
Not at this time.
Okay. Mohit Prabhu is there also?
Jai Mohit.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Hari
Jai.
Bol, Jai, Jai.
My obeisance is to
Hare Bol.
Mohit Prabhu.
Jai.
Prabhu, obviously. I'm very fallen soul, Prabhu.
No, you're not
Jai.
fallen. I see you clearly who you are. And if I'm not mistaken, from what I can see from this distance through this machinery and these lenses and cameras, I can see you are
Jai.
pure spirit. You are pure spirit soul.
Pure spirit soul.
Hare
Here's
Krishna.
another pure spirit
Hari
soul.
Bol, Mahaprabhu, Jai.
Hare Bol.
Mahaprabhu, how's life without the wife?
The wife, the wives are always the wives.
Okay.
Yeah, they are they are Radha Krishna.
I guess Narayan Prabhu was saying something to me and I interrupted him. Sorry, Prabhu. Go ahead. You were saying
that's
something.
good. I was just observing that I think that from what you look like, you're pure spirit soul. Jiva. Yes, Istagosthi. Oh, by the way, Mahaprabhu, also, when we get onto this call, we should, in the old days, when the cowboys went into a Western bar in the old days of the cowboy movies, they say, park your shooting irons at the door. Meaning, take your guns and the gun holster, hang it on a hook and come in. We don't want any shooting in here. So
Absolutely.
in Istagosthi, park your material body at the door. Park your material consciousness at the door. Come on in. Let's have a jiva to jiva conversation and let us pray before we walk in the door. Let's pray as we walk in the door. Let us pray. My dear Lord Paramatma, please, you be the speaker and let me watch
Be the
you speak.
servant. Yeah.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Let me be the
Great point.
witness. You're the
Great
witness
point.
for everything. What?
Great point.
Yes. So, you could say, let me be the servant, which we are. Let me be the admirer of your words coming from what everyone will think is my mouth. But anyhow, knowing that we're in Istagosthi, let's beg Paramatma, let it be jiva to jiva, and please, Lord Paramatma, you do the talking.
Okay. So since there's any, let's see. Another question by one devotee here. Let me share the screen so everyone can see.
This is really wonderful that we're getting questions.
So here we have one question. Is there an age restriction on becoming a Krishna devotee?
Is there what?
Not a problem.
Is
Not
there
a
an
problem.
age restriction on becoming a Krishna devotee?
Is there any restriction?
Age restriction.
Age restriction?
No
Well, go
age.
ahead.
So there's no age restriction. The only restriction is that you should become a devotee. You should not become a non-devotee.
Vaman was a midget. He was also like a 5-year-old child. And he ended up taking 3 steps and covered the earth and the sky and the heavens with 2 steps. So that's not much of an age restriction, would you say?
Yeah, generally when the Garbhadhan samskar is followed through, before conception, that person is a devotee already. The soul that is coming into the womb of the mother is coming.
Beautiful.
elevated
Just
That is
four
a-
regulative principles.
Yes.
Follow the four regulative principles. That's it. Yeah.
yeah.
So there's no age restriction in becoming a Krishna devotee. Okay, then is there an age restriction on becoming a Krishna devotee? He asked the same question again. No, there's no age restriction in becoming a Krishna devotee.
But there is one consideration, age restriction, and that is if you're in your 90s, hurry up and become a devotee before it's too late.
Yeah,
Don't
Better
waste
late than
this
never.
human life. You know, give up your hamburger, give up your whiskey, give up your margaritas, give up your accursed television, give up your Barca lounger, put it on its head, and chant Hare Krishna. And then if you're 95 years old, chant Hare Krishna for 5 years, for 10 years, for 15 years, but spend every moment chanting because you never know when your breath will be your last.
okay, so I wanted to, so because there's no more questions, I want to change the discussion. We were talking about developing a rasa with Krishna or co-creating a rasa with Krishna. So I was hearing Chaitanya Chaitamrita, Adi Leela, this is chapter 1. And here Srila Prabhupada is commenting regarding this point about co-creation of the rasa. Prabhupada is actually saying here that rasa which the living entity has is already existing, and then he revives that rasa. He does not co-create it. So I want to play this, and then we're gonna have a discussion on this part. So let me load it up on the screen first, and then I'll play the audio. Give me a few minutes. All right. And this is from Chaitanya Chaitamrita, Adi Leela. Where is it? Adi Leela. Let's see.
Well, one thing to understand in using the word co-create, all rasas are co-created. They're reciprocal. There's no such thing as a one-sided rasa with Krishna. You just like if you're in love with a beautiful young woman or a woman's in love with a handsome young man, they co-create the relationship. So that is always there. If it's originally co-created, that raises an interesting question, because I don't know if the Maya Madhukari revives a lost relationship with Krishna when he comes, or if he creates a somewhat different one with Krishna, considering that his previous relationship with Krishna ended with him falling to the material world. Do you really want to be in the same position as you were when you fell down, which will lead you to possibly falling down again? And how do you pick up a broken, you're in a rasa with Krishna, you vanish away, hundreds of millions of lives in the material world. When you come back, is it the same or different than when you left? That's my question. So let's keep going. Let's see what Prabhupada says.
Yeah, one second. Let me load it up. It is from Chaitanya Chaitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 1, verse 19, purport. So let me load it up on the screen. Then we'll go to what Srila Prabhupada says, and then Adi Leela, chapter 1, verse 19. One second. All right, we're here. Okay. Share my screen. Okay, so we're reading from prabhupadsbooks.com, Adi Leela, chapter 1, verse 19. So here, Srila Prabhupada is saying, where is it? Is it this one or what? Hold on one second. Okay. So the purport, we're reading here, this part here. The author of Sri Chaitanya Chaitamrita offers his respectful obeisances unto the three deities of Vrindavan, named Sri Radha Madan Mohan, Sri Radha Govinda Dev, and Sri Radha Gopinath Ji. These three deities are the life and soul of the Bengali Vaishnavas or the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, who have a natural aptitude for residing in Vrindavan. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas, who follow strictly in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, worship the divinity by chanting the transcendental sounds meant to develop a sense of one's transcendental relationship with the Supreme Lord. A reciprocation of mellows, rasas of mutual affection, and ultimately the achievement of the desired success in loving service. These three deities are worshipped in three different stages of one's development. The followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu scrupulously follow these principles of approach. What I wanted to discuss, what happened here? Okay, here. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas, who follow strictly in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, worship the divinity by chanting the transcendental sounds meant to develop a sense of one's transcendental relationship with the Supreme Lord, a reciprocation of mellows, rasas of mutual affection, and ultimately the achievement of the desired success in loving service. I don't know. I think I'm not reading the right place. One second.
It's very nice what you're reading.
No, I wanted to read the part where that relationship is revived. One second, Narayan Prabhu. Let me see.
Sure.
I'll play it here on my phone so people can hear. One second.
And that one has to execute such service in the association of other devotees. By associating with devotees of Lord Krishna, one develops a sense of Krishna consciousness and thus becomes inclined toward the loving service of the Lord. This is the process of approaching the Supreme Lord by gradual appreciation in devotional service. If one desires unalloyed devotional service, one must associate with devotees of Sri Krishna, for by such association only can a conditioned soul achieve a taste for transcendental love and thus revive his eternal relationship with Godhead in a specific manifestation and in terms of the specific transcendental mellow, the rasa, that one has eternally inherent in him.
Did you hear that, Narayan Prabhu?
Some of it, yes.
Okay, let me bring up the right verse. One second. Inherent in him. So that was the...
What were the last words, the last sentence, or two sentences?
One second, yes. I will load it up on the screen so we can go.
I can't see it, so none is
Okay. Now, 1 second. Okay, yeah, this is Adi Leela chapter 1, verse 35. So I was on the wrong verse. It was supposed to be chapter 1, verse 35. Let me go to chapter 1, verse 35.
The beautiful thing with Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's no wrong verse.
Chai, all right. So we were here. Okay. Yeah, this is... Okay, we're going to be reading the first paragraph in the purport. Sri Jiva Goswami, in his thesis Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 202, has stated that uncontaminated devotional service is the objective of pure Vaishnavas, and that one has to execute such service in association of other devotees. By associating with devotees of Lord Krishna, one develops a sense of Krishna consciousness and thus becomes inclined toward the loving service of the Lord. This is the process of approaching the Supreme Lord by gradual appreciation in devotional service. If one desires unalloyed devotional service, one must associate with devotees of Sri Krishna, for by such association only can a conditioned soul achieve a taste for transcendental love and thus revive his eternal relationship with Godhead in a specific manifestation and in terms of specific transcendental mellow rasa that one has eternally inherent in him. No?
Sure.
So let's so we were
But
talking.
it's not cast in stone, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, your relationship with Krishna is ever fresh, therefore ever changing, and it's always, rasa means exchange, loving exchanges.
Yes.
Therefore, you create and co-create with Krishna. Krishna co-creates with you and you co-create with Krishna. You give him pure unalloyed love of God. He reciprocates with appreciation and a benediction to you as to how you can increase your unalloyed love of God. The whole point of a rasa is that it is always increasing.
So here it's saying that if one desires unalloyed devotional service, one must associate with devotees of Sri Krishna, for by such association only can a conditioned soul achieve a taste for transcendental love and thus revive his eternal relationship with Godhead in a specific manifestation and in terms of the specific transcendental mellow rasa that one has eternally inherent in him. So can, from this
Why is
sentence,
that? The one clearly what?
inherent in him.
Yes. But is it static or is it non-static?
Yeah, that's a good question. We have to find out. Is it
Put it this way: if your relationship with Krishna is spun, rasa means reciprocal, unalloyed love of God and his unalloyed love of you, and it's in exchange, I would have to suppose that it's never the same twice. It's almost spontaneous. And I mean, if you fan Krishna's left shoulder, does that mean that's the only part of Krishna you can fan?
Mm-hmm. So can we say that
change? Maybe he'll change his right shoulder. Maybe he'll stand there with a hand and he will yearn for you to fan him because he loves the way you do it. And so you start fanning him the way he wants, which is not the way you were planning. But then when you see what he wants, then that becomes better than your plan and you fan him. That is very spontaneous. I don't see any place where something is rigid or fixed in stone.
In a sense where Mother Yashoda, being the mother of Krishna, she doesn't change her rasa. You know, the mother rasa is there. She feeds the child. She does this, she does that. Everything is based spontaneously and everything is ever fresh. But she doesn't go in the mood of rasa dance and dances with Krishna. So her.
Are you reading? Are you reading?
No. I'm not reading. I'm saying about the eternal inherent.
You're damn good, man. I thought you were reading.
Oh no, I'm not reading.
No. Yes,
So-
exactly.
So
I
I'm
agree
saying.
with you.
So I'm saying that in the case of Mother Yashoda, her eternal rasa with Krishna is as a mother, an affectionate mother to Krishna. So in that mood, she doesn't change her rasa to be dancing with Krishna in the groves of
Exactly.
Vrindavan.
And once she is Krishna's mother, what protects and isolates that relationship, according to Prabhupada?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I'll have to find out. Is it the
You
Yoga
can find
Maya?
out right now. Yoga Maya.
Yes, Yoga Maya. Yes, that's what I wanted to get.
Mahamaya gets us attached to this thing and that thing in the material world with the assumption that my body, and the thing that I like are all part of one package that belongs to me, which turns out not to be true, but it doesn't seem to slow anybody down in terms of trying to obtain wealth and beauties and God knows what, you know. So yes, Mother Yasoda's rasa, but who created Mother Yasoda's rasa with Krishna, according to Prabhupada?
Yeah, that's a good question. Who created it?
Mother Yasoda created.
Yes.
This is where we need to bow down to the reality of Krishna consciousness And that is, Krishna doesn't play some sort of Judeo-Christian God with a club in one hand and a halo in the other, or something of that sort. If you want Krishna to be your baby, you start thinking maternal thoughts. You start generating breasts. And in those breasts are specific droplets of milk. And those specific droplets of milk are edible and digestible by only one person. And that's Krishna. Therefore, when you make yourself a completely dedicated and irresistible to Krishna as mother, then he reciprocates in a rasa and he becomes your child. And you become his mother. Prabhupada said at one time, everybody wants to become God. Everybody, he was laughing. I was sitting there as he was saying, everyone wants to become God. He said, but we want to become, his eyes shoot open, greater than God. And he gives the example of Mother Yasoda. She is so powerful that she can make the same person that's killed Kamsa, the same person that lifted Govardhan Hill, can make him come to her needing and wanting with his whole heart the milk that she has created in her breasts by her desire to be his mother. So that's the way it works. It's not like, bang, you're the mother, you're the son, now get out of here. It's not like that at all. She creates it, so it's kinetic. Okay, my main point is that it's flexible, it's kinetic. How is he her mother? His mother? How? By what? I mean, she churns butter and he steals and gives it to monkeys. That's a very, very simplified version. The specifics are why she churns the butter, how she churns the butter, how she tries to protect the butter to keep him from stealing it, how he cleverly steals it anyhow and gives it to the monkeys. Look at all the realm of freedom of choice, freedom of expression, freedom of choice. His free will. She has free will to stop him from stealing the butter. He has free will, but childish free will, to steal it and give it to monkeys. Therefore, she approaches him with a stick, saying, "You naughty boy, how dare you do that? I'm going to tie you to a grinding mortar." That's all fresh. It's not dogma. It's not like a painting on the wall, which is nice. The painting on the wall is nice, but if we think that it doesn't go beyond the painting on the wall, then we're cheating ourselves out of the best part. The best part is, well, Yamunacharya said, everyone is worshiping this form of Krishna, that form of Krishna, God, like this, God, like that. Said, for my part, I worship Nanda Maharaj. He's not even worshiping Krishna. I worship Nanda Maharaj, Yamunacharya says, because he is so great that he has made the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the universal form that scared Mother Yasoda when he opened his mouth. The same Krishna that killed the demons, the same Krishna that killed his uncle Kamsa. He has made the child, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the lover of Radharani, the dancer with the gopis. Go on and on and on, the killer of the Aghasura. All of these pastimes of Krishna, he has made that Krishna. He's so powerful, Nanda Maharaj, that he has made Krishna, who has done all of these things, crawl in the dust of his own courtyard as a baby.
Right. Okay. We have another comment.
So do you see where that all goes? It comes from. It is rasa means co-created at every stage. There's nothing static.
Right. Okay.
It's not like when I fell to planet Earth, I was wearing a blue kurta. Now I come back to Krishna Loka, where the hell's my blue kurta? Not quite like that. It's not like you go back into where you were, because let's consider what we were just discussing in this glorious nature of rasa with Krishna, is there is no predecessor pastime. It's always now, and it's always in the present, and it's always transcendental, and it's always purely co-created between the jiva and Krishna.
Okay. So another comment
does that answer your question?
Yes.
If it doesn't, nail me where I made a mistake.
There's another comment by this devotee, Aristotle Pahains. My first exposure to ISKCON was 4.5 decades ago. I know that I must follow Krishna from here on. Thank you. Then he says, Hare Krishna, I am admittedly a novice and am ignorant about ISKCON. Please forgive me. So,
that's the same person?
Yes, that's the same person. I guess he got introduced to Krishna consciousness long time ago, 40
some years, 40 years ago.
40 years ago, but he's now coming to the realization that he must take up Krishna consciousness from now on. So that's a very good realization.
It's a wonderful realization.
Yeah.
And it's a very lucky realization, because Krishna is eternal. And whoever asked the question, sir, you are also eternal. So there's no beginning or ending point to worshiping Krishna. You can start 40 years ago, or you can start now. What's the difference? Nothing. There is no difference. If there's a difference in terms of your body, but what does your body compare to eternity? What's your body even compared to someone that lives for 1,000 years?
Right.
Oh yeah, you can say you're very old compared to a fruit fly that lives for 4 days. But what does that mean? It's just a relative comparison with something that lives a shorter time than you do. But your relationship to Krishna, time is not involved.
Right. Okay.
Right?
So any questions from our viewers here on the Zoom? Mahaprabhu is there, Rupamanjari is there. Any comments, questions? You want to share any realization? Okay.
Do you have a doubt?
No, my doubt is that I'm thinking I'm this body. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Okay. So I want to shift to the next discussion. Unless someone wants to ask a question, Rupamanjari or Mahaprabhu. Let me go to that quote that I wanted to share. All right.
A different quote.
Yes.
Let's go for it. What is the quote?
Trying to find it. Give me a few minutes, a few seconds.
Oh, not a problem.
Mahaprabhu, what's going on? What are you doing?
I'm in the middle of moving.
You're in the middle of moving? Wow.
Yeah, moving. I'm moving all the plants from my house to my father's house.
Oh.
And to move the plants, you have to move. You're in the middle of moving yourself, holding onto pots of plants.
That's right. I'm moving the plants. In the interim, I'm listening to all of you speak.
That's interesting. So when does your lease expire? Or your rent expire?
We
or
need
your mortgage
to
expire?
in about 4 days.
Are you leasing, or do you own the place?
No, we own the place and we sold the condo. My wife is going to North Carolina, and I'm going to move up the hill to live with my father in the meantime.
Does he live in heaven?
Oh, it's quite like heaven over here.
The Father in
So
heaven.
it's you could say, "My Father who art in heaven."
Yeah, but I'm not going to live with that father at this time. I'm still on earth.
Well, you should treat your father as though he's that father. That's proper etiquette.
He's 95. He's 95 years old.
Great. You and I thought of what does he normally eat?
Whatever he wants. Canned food, normally.
Well, not vegetarian, I would imagine. Right?
These days, more vegetarian, but not willingly.
Okay.
He doesn't.
What I was
He
thinking
doesn't.
is, why did you stop at the samosa house on the way home and bring him? I showed you tried the buffet. They have single dishes also. Why don't you bring him a different one every day and see if he likes it?
I'm going to do that, Narayan.
You know, it's fresh.
Absolutely.
It's not canned food. Is not a good way. Well, if he's 95, you can't complain about his diet, can we?
Thank you so very much for the suggestion. I'm going to take you up on it.
Yeah, I was thinking about it pretty much all day.
Nice.
Contemplating this. So the main thing is, can he handle any spice?
Very mild.
Well, I know, but you ate at Samosa House. Was that too spicy for him?
I don't think so.
Okay, so you get that food, and then you can make rice at home, or you can buy the rice there. If you make the rice at home, it'll be less expensive. But if you get the rice there, it'll be very good basmati rice. And just get a little extra rice so that when he puts ladles his dish onto the rice, it won't be too spicy. You know.
Fantastic. I'm going to do that.
And when you do that, you can get plates the way we did when we were there.
Okay.
Or you can get it in boxes. You know,
Okay.
You saw those little round boxes they had?
Yes.
The best deal is the 16-ounce boxes, which are like $8 each. So if you get 3 of those, that will last for 2 days or 3 days. If you have 3 boxes and rice and naan. Does he like bread?
Yes, he does.
Does he eat like white bread?
Any kind of bread.
Well, then get him naan. Does he have good teeth?
Okay.
He's okay with his teeth.
In other words, does he have only false teeth or does he have natural teeth also?
False. All
Okay.
false.
Well, if they're all false, then they're all excellent, unless he went to a bad dentist. So
That's right.
your false teeth depend on whether your dentist is false or not. But anyhow, if he has false teeth, he could chew chapatis too if he wanted to.
Thank you very much, Narayan.
Okay. So
we're gonna move on.
Try those extra dishes. It might put you aside, like just why not get a bit of this and a bit of that and see what he gravitates towards, and then start feeding him those $6 side dishes, which come in a box, and then he'll be satisfied.
So here,
I'll FaceTime you later and we'll discuss this.
Okay, so
yes.
Back to the topic here. Now we're going to the next verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 1, verse 36. People were asking about Shiksha Gurus, or the instructing spiritual masters. So here, Srila Prabhupada is giving the translation on who is the instructing spiritual master. So the instructing spiritual masters are Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Raghunath, Sri Jiva Goswami, Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, and Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. So these are the Shiksha Gurus, the instructing spiritual masters.
And you can get them for a few bucks by buying the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yes. So why
you don't have to give half your income to the temple to get your Shiksha Guru. Just buy the book, and then your guru is sitting on your dinner table.
Yeah. So when we say the Shiksha and Diksha Guru must be on the same level, this is what we're saying. The instructing spiritual master and the initiating spiritual master, they must be on the same level here. So the instructing spiritual masters, Srila Prabhupada is saying in Adi Leela chapter 1 verse 36, are Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Bhatta Raghunath, Sri Jiva Goswami, Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. So there shouldn't be
That
any.
is amazing.
Yeah, so what's the doubt here that the instructing spiritual masters and the Diksha, meaning the initiating guru, they must be liberated souls. So there's no doubt in this point here.
Although the Shiksha Gurus that he mentioned are not only residents of Krishna Loka, they are like chief commanding officers of Krishna
Right.
Loka.
Yes.
They are major Shaktis, major gopis.
Right.
Like when you see that picture of Radha Krishna and the gopis, they're there in that group. Some of them.
So then here it says, these 6 are my instructing spiritual masters, and therefore I offer millions of respectful obeisances unto their lotus feet. Then the Bhaktivedanta commentary, by accepting the 6 Goswamis as his instructing spiritual masters, the author specifically makes it clear that one should not be recognized as a Gaudiya Vaishnava if he is not obedient to them.
To them.
Yes. To
Okay.
who are
Now,
them?
If you're obedient to them, can you then be a Shiksha Guru or not?
No, yeah, if you are an eternally liberated soul just like them.
Does it say that anywhere?
No, it doesn't say that here, but the instructing spiritual masters are Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami,
Yeah.
So here it's saying that by accepting the 6 Goswamis as instructing spiritual masters, the author specifically makes it clear that one should be not recognized as a Gaudiya Vaishnava if he's not obedient to them.
So that indicates that Prabhupada is saying the Gaudiya Vaishnavas all need to accept as Shiksha Gurus.
Yes.
Which means that where do they get the association and instruction from the Shiksha Guru? From the Chaitanya Charitamrita, obviously, right?
Yes.
Therefore, by studying the Chaitanya Charitamrita, you get all the ancillary instruction that you would think you would get from your Diksha Guru, if that Diksha Guru were Prabhupada sitting on a Vyasa-san, have a garlands and being worshipped and chanting japa and chanting on your beads. That same Srila Prabhupada will give you, and if you need further instruction, you get it from the Shiksha Gurus in his book, the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
All right. So that should clear up.
The way I look at it, we're closing in. It's like a fish net. You throw out a big net into the ocean, the Alaskan Ocean. You throw out a big net, and then you sink it down to the bottom. It has corks around it. So you circle a school of fish, then you start pulling it closer, the net closer, so you're surrounding the fish. Then at the bottom, there's a rope going through a bunch of rings, and you start running that rope over a power winch, and that tightens the bottom. So now the fish are in a very large basket or net that they don't even know about. And then you start making the net smaller and smaller by pulling the net in until the net is so small that the fish are all jammed together.
Try.
Okay, so that seems to me what we're doing with our philosophy and the League for 10K. We're tightening the net around the fish so that the fish have nowhere to go but back to Godhead.
Okay, so I'll read this last translation in Purport, and then we're gonna end it by 10 o'clock. So this is Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 1, verse 44. Although I know that my spiritual master is a servitor of Sri Chaitanya, I know him also as a plenary manifestation of the Lord. So here it is talking about Krishna Das Kaviraj's spiritual master, who is Lord Nityananda himself. So Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, every living entity is essentially a servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the spiritual master is also his servant. Still, the spiritual master is a direct manifestation of the Lord. With this conviction, a disciple can advance in Krishna consciousness. The spiritual master is not different from Krishna because he is a manifestation of Krishna. Lord Nityananda, who is Balaram himself, the first direct manifestation or expansion of Krishna, is the original spiritual master. He helps Lord Krishna in his pastimes, and he is the servant of the Lord. Every living entity is eternally a servant of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Therefore, the spiritual master cannot be other than a servant of Lord Chaitanya. The spiritual master's eternal occupation is to expand the service of the Lord by training disciples in a service attitude. A spiritual master never possesses, as the Supreme Lord himself. What does it say? A spiritual master never poses as the Supreme Lord himself. He is considered a representative of the Lord. The revealed scriptures prohibit one's pretending to be God, but a bona fide spiritual master is a most faithful and confidential servant of the Lord, and therefore deserves as much respect as Krishna. So there it's talking about the position of the...
That is amazing. Can you please forward that text to Rupa Joy to include on the now burgeoning webpage?
Try, I'll do that.
Because you see, okay, is that it for, or are you going to say something more?
No, that's it. I was going to just read it. It's saying here the spiritual master is eternal occupation is training up the disciples in a service attitude. So here also says the spiritual master never poses himself as the Supreme Lord. So
yes. So that's decisive.
And then it says, but a bona fide spiritual master is a most faithful and confidential servant of the Lord, and therefore deserves as much respect as Krishna.
Yes.
Then it says...
That demonstrates that the spiritual master cannot be a iṣṭa-goṣṭhī.
Yes, cannot.
Or a madhyama-adhikari.
Yes. Right. All right. So let me just check if we have any more questions on YouTube or Facebook, and then we are gonna...
Well, may I say a couple of words regarding our preaching? Because we started out by saying we'll start from the end and come back to the present time. We'll start from 9,400 years from now and come back to the present moment with the League for 10K. This takes all the shimsham and all the foolishness out of our meetings. And when I say foolishness, it's not foolish. Good questions, good answers that are here. But where's the format? Where's the structure? That we need to have. So I'm suggesting that as we write in the website for the League for 10K, there's going to be tons of people that say, that's not right. It's already happening on this site. That's not right. The Shiksha Guru, like Gregory, no, the Shiksha Guru is not like that. We can have all of that coming at us, but we need either in the text, but more realistically, have footnotes. So you have a number one, you say the Shiksha Guru, number one, then it goes to this page or pages that you just read. So it takes all the doubt. So the biggest problem we're going to have is not coming up with a novel opinion, which it would look as though I'm saying, oh, don't chant to people, chant to trees and the bugs. Well, that's what Prabhupada commanded me to do. Chant to the end. and Krishna conscious. I never dawned on me that he was serious, but now it dawns on me that he was serious. So what I'm saying is, we have all of these novel ideas that are very different than the everyday dogma that is taught in ISKCON. However, we have to remember that ISKCON is not meant for people to pick and choose what they teach. It's not, right? You can't pick and choose from the Shastras what you accept and do not accept for ISKCON. So what do? They say, well, historically, in 1966, 67, 68, 1975, Prabhupada said such and such and such. So we're constructing ISKCON out of the bits and pieces of what Prabhupada taught. And I'm saying that with the League for 10K, we are taking Prabhupada as the last Sampradaya Acharya, meaning the last person in the Vaishnava Sampradaya per se, and whatever he said, he put into books, into tapes, etc. That is it for the next 10,000 years.
Jai.
Does that make sense? Okay, but in our website, we have to substantiate. So if I'm talking about, Kanista, Madhyam, Uttamadhikari, and this is how the Kanista gradually becomes how the Madhyamadhikari gradually becomes the Uttamadhikari, it has to be substantiated from a dozen different sources of Prabhupada's writing. Not just, that's Narayan talking, It can't be just that. In that situation, It's a little touchy because Prabhupada never discussed it particularly. But I defy anyone to find something wrong with what I've said about the Kanista Madhyam Uttamadhikari.
Yes, so anyone who's watching this on Facebook and YouTube, and if you'd like to participate, you can join the WhatsApp group or send me a message or send Narayan Prabhu a message. We'll be very welcome to talk to you and we can have a conversation.
And bring your own Shastra to support or resist what we're saying. If you don't agree with what we're saying, find the Shastra and publish it. You said such and such and such about Shiksha Guru. Okay, here I have all these quotes that say differently. Do it if you can find them. We're doing the best we can, and we're trying to be sincere in that process. We don't have any agenda. We're not trying to get disciples. We're not trying to get money. All we're trying to do is speak the truth. So if you say we're not speaking the truth, show us the quotes from Prabhupada's unedited books to substantiate that we're not telling the truth. And what will we do? If you can prove it, we will offer you our humble obeisances. We will thank you from the depths of our hearts. We will call you Prabhu for defeating us. But we're not trying to we're trying to tell the truth. We're not looking to be defeated. We're not trying to say things that are easily defeated, or perhaps we're trying to say things that can't be defeated at all. But if you want to defeat it, find the Shastra. Does that make sense?
Jai, yes.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
Nice tilak, Mahaprabhu.
I'm trying. Getting better.
No, don't try. You can't try. You know why?
You already did it.
It's like shooting a bow and arrow in the wrong direction. You don't try, you do.
Hare Krishna.
Isn't there a difference between trying and doing?
Absolutely.
So you may not succeed completely, but if you succeed one iota, that's good. Now,
Hare
Rupa
Krishna.
Manjari, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I'm sorry not to have heard you read today, but we got a bunch of male egos going on the reading. No, it was great, by the way. But what was it I said the Paramatma is?
The tour guide.
How do you like that, Ramachandra?
Paramatma is the tour guide.
Mahaprabhu is not Mahaprabhu. Did I say that?
Paramatma.
Paramatma is the eternal tour guide
Of the jiva.
Of the jiva.
Yes, the jiva is desiring.
The jiva's on a luxury cruiser or some sort of cruiser, maybe a plank in the middle of the water if you can afford a cruiser. Okay, where do you want to go? Oh, I want to go to Spain. Okay, learn Spanish. Oh no, I'm going to go to Germany. Okay, learn German. In other words, Paramatma facilitates our desire. If you look at him as a tour guide, it will take away the idea that he's some sort of Jehovah standing there looking down at us with his arms folded, with horns on his head, eyes flashing lightning, saying, "You dirty son of a bitch, how dare you disobey me?" That's the way the Hebrew God comes across. And the Christian God is sort of like that because he's the Jewish God. But then Jesus comes along and says, "Never mind, whatever you do is fine. You shit, I'll eat it." You know, that's what I'll do. Because you can sin, but I will take care of it for you. Don't worry about a doggy bag to take away the...
Mahaprabhu, the last 10 minutes is for you.
I'm at 3%. I'm about to be cut off from my iPhone.
Okay.
But I'd like to say that I appreciate everybody letting me in, and it's quite some conversation. I was a little bit unsure of what was being said tonight, a little bit confused, but I'm sure it will clear up in the future.
What confused you? Name one thing and let Ramachandra enlighten you.
A lot of the vocabulary. I don't understand a lot of the Sanskrit. A lot of the definitions, the adjectives.
We tried to keep it central.
I'm learning.
Okay, that's good.
I'm still a karmi, you know.
What I would recommend is if you hear a word or term or a phrase that you don't resonate with or understand, write it down. And what you can do is either ask us offline, online, or look it up on your computer.
Yeah, we're here to help you in your spiritual journey, Prabhu. So anyone who's watching this,
thank you. Thank
So
you.
if you don't know what is Shiksha Guru, go to your computer and type in SHIKSHA Guru.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay.
I love you guys.
And you'll be amazed. It'll give you the answer.
Rupa Manjari Prabhu, any last concluding words from you before we end it?
Nope.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, let me only acknowledge Rupa Manjari and glorify her. Yesterday, she cooked a wonderful vegetarian meal for her associate, Ron, who's her friend, her associate, partner, and she offered it to her extremely nice deity. She has a wonderful taste in deities.
Right.
She offered the prasadam to the deity, and he ate it,